Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us for yet another town hall. This is for Big Brothers Big Sisters. My name is Peyton. Gonna give just a minute of wrap up or ramp up, I should say, and let some folks join us. But me and Pam are here, and excited to reach you wherever we find you in your home or in your car or wherever you are. So. Donnie did send some background, so should add those to my repertoire. Your Big Brothers Big Sisters background.
That'd be awesome. I can't seem to figure out the virtual background yet, so.
All right. Hey, I think we're going to jump on into this. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Peyton. I'm here with Pam from Big Brothers Big Sisters, and this has been a little bit of an experiment for us to see how we can beam into your home and do a little town hall to stay in front of you and let you know what we got going on here, not only at the YMCA, but also with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And so we have our intrepid executive director who's going to give us some updates about what's going on with Big Brothers. And last week we just talked, kind of generally about what's going on with Big Brothers Big Sisters and the shutdown and shelter in place and how we're continuing to serve families and kids in spite of all that. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to chat a little bit about the history of Big Brothers Big Sisters and how this came to be and how we're collaborating and have been for quite a long time. So let's just start a little bit there, Pam. Tell us a little bit about the near-term history of Big Brothers Big Sisters and how it became an affiliate with us and what's the story there.
Okay, so Big Brothers Big Sisters has been around in the United States since 1904, and it started as a group just for boys. So it started out as Big Brothers. There was a New York City court clerk who just noticed that boys were coming through the court system and really felt that they could just use one. Most of the boys didn't have dads, and so he just started finding volunteers, men that he could have work with these kids to try to keep them out of the court system. And so that was the very humble beginnings of Big Brothers. And about the same time, there was a group of women who were kind of doing the same thing with girls coming through the court system, and they became Catholic Big Brothers Big Sisters also in New York City. And the two organizations grew, they coexisted until about 1977 when they merged, became Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, and that is who they have been since. We operate in all 50 states and 12 countries. So, and we're doing some work right now with Canada on the COVID crisis. And so that's great to be really doing something bigger. And yeah, so that's fantastic. We started in Snohomish County in 1987. And in 2001, before Peyton and I were around, Big Brothers Big Sisters had some financial trouble and was going to have to close its doors, and the United Way brokered a deal or a merger between the YMCA and Big Brothers Big Sisters so that we could stay and serve kids. And we have been that way ever since, and it is, in my opinion, a fabulous partnership. Our missions are very well aligned. It is great for us because the YMCA has a very large footprint in the county and a wonderful reputation, and so it's just been a pleasure. In 2019, end of last year, we moved into the Everett Ymca. So for the first time ever, we are co-located, which I can't even tell you. I've been the ED for 7 years. I think we moved a total of 5 times, sort of chasing space that didn't cost an arm and a leg, and it is just absolutely fabulous to have signage and visibility, and people see us, and it's just been fantastic. So we're very grateful to be there, and we're really excited to get back in there. So hopefully that'll be soon.
Well, tell us. So that's a good kind of summary of the origin story of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it's a great organization nationwide. There's independent nonprofits that are Big Brothers Big Sisters chapters all over the country. This is what's referred to as an affiliate program, and so you're nested within the sort of the ecosystem of the YMCA. But why don't you give us a little snapshot of your work history? How did you start to begin to work with Big Brothers Big Sisters? Where did that start? How'd you make your way to Snohomish?
Um, well, funny story. So I did marketing my whole career. I have a degree in East European Studies, and I came out of grad school and there wasn't really anything in my field, and I'd been doing marketing part-time, and so I kept doing that, which was fantastic. And I did some biotech work and some architecture work, and I was pregnant with my second child, and I was working in a place that was really pretty awful. And I always knew about Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I had actually wanted to be a big in college, but they didn't need big sisters at that time. And so I was like, okay. And I just happened to be looking for jobs, and this director of marketing for Big Brothers Big Sisters in Seattle came up, and it was literally written for me. And I was thrilled to be able to come out of maternity leave and immediately go into this job that was so much better and really gives me a purpose every day when I come in. So I did that work at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Puget Sound in the Seattle office for 7 years, and I really held every position from director of marketing to vice president of development, vice president of communications and advocacy and community engagement. I did a lot of stuff there, and it got to a point I'd had a few CEOs there, and there was not really a lot of other place for me to grow. So there just happened to be, again, the timing aligned, and opening up here for an executive director, and it seemed like the right fit, and it certainly has been. It's been 7 years here now, and great.
Yeah. So now, yeah, you found your home here in Snohomish. That's great.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, so talk to us a little about your clientele. So what ages of kids do you serve, and how do you find the kids that you serve, and talk to us a little bit about how that works.
Sure. So we serve kids ages 6 to 18. So we start enrolling as early as 6 years old. We will serve kids until they reach 18 or graduate from high school, whichever comes last. I'll be honest in saying that it's harder for us to enroll kids in their late teens for a couple of reasons. A lot of them don't want to participate in the program, and that's really the only criteria we have for bringing kids. They have to want to be in it, and they and their parents have to agree to abide by our rules and our policies. But other than that, any child it's possible for any child to enroll. I will say that most of our kids, a good 70% of them are on free and reduced lunch. About the same percentage of them live in single parent households or non-traditional, non-two-parent households. So that's foster care, kinship care, lots of single moms, which I think we see a lot of the majority of the kids who are waiting to be in our program are boys, because a lot of them come from homes with single moms. A good deal of them don't have real close friendships. They're struggling in school. They're getting into trouble. Some of them may be in foster care. I think about 15% of our kids have an incarcerated parent. So there's a lot of stuff going on in their homes when they come to us. And they come to us through their parents, through their teachers, their counselors. We've had kids call in and say, I want a big. So they sort of come from everywhere. Yeah. And there's never a shortage. I mean, we sit at about 85 kids at any given time waiting for a big.
So how many kids are you serving now? Maybe, and you can maybe say pre-COVID, how many kids are you serving now? And what do you think is the right number in near term that we could actually be serving through this program?
Yeah. So 2019, we served just shy of 150 kids. We just hit 99 kids served for 2020. And so that they're not all still, so served means they may be open and active now, or they may have closed within that year. I think we have 93 actually active matches right now, and we have made 2 virtual matches since the COVID closure, which is really exciting to us. I understand it's a little bit awkward to do a match introduction, a big little introduction via Zoom, but it's working, and we're really thrilled that we're able to still do that. I mean, I'll tell you this, in terms of the need, I mean, we're not even scratching the surface. So if we're constantly sitting at 85 kids on a wait list, roughly, and I'm not, we're making matches, but that number doesn't change. So, I mean, I would say, we talked a little bit last week, if we had even just 25 bigs from each of our branches, we could double the number of kids that we're serving within the next 6 months, if we were, depending on when we open. And I just think that, in the early 2000s, I think we were serving 500 kids. And there are a lot of reasons for why that's not the same, and why that number has gone down. But easily 500 kids would be, not with the staff we have now, but I think that would be not a crazy number. And I really think that we have a big county. We have a big county. So that number, and I would love to see it be 1,000 kids, 1,500 kids.
Well, so you do this every day. You live it, you drink it. Tell me about the design that would be required in order to get. What are things we as a community are doing and maybe start doing differently to begin to scratch the surface on finding bigs that we can then engage to then go do this important work.
Yeah, I often talk about our program sort of as a three-legged stool, let's say. So I think I mentioned this last week too. So we need our bigs, we need our staff, and then we need funding. So the way, and it's sort of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So to do our program safely, we have to follow strict standards that are put out by Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. We're audited every year. They're making sure that we are abiding by the standards, and it's all about child safety, because the most important thing, we are matching adults with children in one-to-one relationships, and we are sending them out in the community. So we have to do everything we can possible to make sure that's safe. So to make a match, we need a child and we need a big. So the kids come to us. We don't have to do much outreach. They just come to us. But we're always looking for bigs, because the problem is that you don't just come to the top of the wait list because you've been waiting the longest and get matched with the next big. It's very intentional. So where do you live? Is it easy to pick you up? What are you interested in? If you're a little kid and you love being outside, we're not going to match you with a big who loves to be inside and not go outside. I mean, we are going to do everything possible to make sure that this is a long-term relationship. So there are a lot of things that go into that. So we really need a fairly big pipeline on both sides to make matches quickly. So, but to make sure those matches are safe, what sets us apart from other mentoring organizations is the professional match support that happens once the match is made. So we don't just say, hey, big, little, here, there you are, we'll see you later. Every month for the first year, we're checking in with the family and we're checking in with the big. We have staff, they're degreed staff, they've been professionally trained, they know what to look for in terms of child safety, so they're checking in monthly for the first year. After the first year, people know how it works, and it goes to a quarterly contact. Unless something is going wrong, people can contact us anytime, and we do have, bigs who like to just know, have more frequent check-ins. So, but a case manager, that we call them, can really only safely support, because our case managers do interviewing and other things, they can really only safely support about 60 big little matches on their caseload. So if we have 60 open matches, one person could support those. If we have, so that staffing will have to grow exponentially. But to have staffing, then we need to have the funding to pay the staff. So those things sort of compete with each other. But those are the three big things. So, to be a big, I'm not going to lie, there's an application, there's an interview, and we ask some pretty personal questions. We do reference checks, background checks. We don't do fingerprinting here. Some Big Brothers Big Sisters do, but we don't yet. But there's a lot that goes into that. So. But we don't, anybody can do it. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a whatever. It takes all kinds of people. So that is the number one thing that I would say how people could help. If you know someone, if you are someone, just send them our way. Let us talk to them about what this means. And then funding, as I said, if we're going to grow the number of kids we're going to serve, then we are going to need to grow our staff. And that's where the majority of our program cost is, because that's what the program is, checking in with these matches.
What's the best place to find a big?
It's a good question. You know, this is so funny because I sit on some leadership teams at our national level, and you know, we've talked about this for a really long time and trying to track where bigs come from. They always go, "Oh, I just have always known about it. I've just always known about Big Brothers Big Sisters." And you know, but what was it? Did you see a commercial? Did you see a flyer? Did someone talk to you about it? Like, what did you meet someone in the elevator? Because that happens. You know, what is it that made you call? And the majority of people say, I've just always known. So, but we do a lot of, most people come to us by word of mouth. I knew somebody who, my sister was my, you know, something. But, you know, we will do presentations at local businesses and service organizations with other community partners. We do social media. You know, there are some national programs now. There's some PSAs on television. There, you know, our national office is starting to help us do a little bit more in terms of mentor recruitment, but it's really pretty grassroots right now and has been.
So paint me a picture, and furthermore, the people that are on the call, paint a picture for the actual workload of being big. How many hours a month or a week, and what is the duration of the commitment?
Yeah, so in all of our programs, we ask for a minimum of a 12-month commitment. We deliver our programs in two different ways. Our community-based program is what most people know us for, so that's a big, a little, they're introduced and then they go out in the community and they do whatever they enjoy doing, whether that's going to the movies or whatever, baking, whatever they like to do. So that's the program that we're most well known for. Now, I said we ask for a 12-month commitment, excuse me. Right now, I believe our average match length for our community-based program is just about 40 months. So that's a lot longer than, and I think the national average is somewhere around 26 months. So we're doing really well in that regard. The other way we deliver program is in different sites. For us, that's mostly schools. So what that means is we have a kids book club. That's for elementary school kids who need some extra help with reading. It's a small group, so 2 mentors to 6 kids. But there's a huge social emotional piece. So that mentoring piece is there even though they're working on literacy skills. That is 1 day a week, same time at the child's school, and matches don't see each other outside of school. Similarly, we have school-based one-to-one, which is exactly like the community-based program, except that they only meet at the child's school, same day, same time every week, only during the school year. So we currently have a Beyond School Walls program where we take kids from a local elementary school and we bus them over to Comcast, to the call center. Well, we were doing this until school closed, but we've been doing this for 9 years, and we deliver the program at Comcast every other month. And so again, that's something for the site-based programs. It's the same time and day each week, or twice a month, or however that works. And they don't generally communicate outside of the program. But we also ask for a 12-month commitment in our site-based programming too. So then that spans 2 years, 2 school years at least, because we know that a match really needs to have 12 months to have positive benefit for the child. And if a match closes too soon, it could be worse than them ever having had a mentor. So we try to get, you know, our average match length is much less for site-based programs, but we try to get those guys to at least the 12-month mark, which then really means 2 school years, which is fantastic. I was going to say, so, oh yeah, and for community-based, you know what, their frequency of meeting is really up to them. It's up to them and the family. Some bigs pick their little up every Thursday after school and do homework and have dinner and go back. Some do a couple hours every other weekend. It really depends on the availability. And I will tell you, you know, when the match first meets, we like that to be super regular so that there's some bonding going on. And then as matches mature and kids become middle schoolers and high schoolers and get busier, that's the meeting ebbs and flows and just like a normal relationship would. But yeah.
So you've talked a little bit about how we find the bigs and what that relationship is like, but describe to us at the end of the day a match that lasts 2 years or 3 years or 40 months or whatever it is. Talk to us about the actual impact on the youth.
Yeah. So we know that our programs work because we survey our kids. So when the kids come in on enrollment, we have a couple that, depending on the age of the child, there's a youth outcome survey and a child outcome survey, and then there's a strength of relationship survey. So we know sort of where they're sitting in terms of risky behavior, grades, how they feel about their friends. Do they have somebody at home who cares about them? Do they think they're going to go to college? And those are questions that they answer. So we do that at baseline, and then we do that annually for all of our kids, so that we can show who's improved, who hasn't, if there's anything that we need to address. And then the other thing that we do is we develop a youth outcome development plan for each of our kids. We work with the child, parent, and the big to set some goals, and we set 2 to 3 goals for a year. And then when our case managers are checking in with their matches, they're constantly going back to that YODP. Hey, how's this going? Have you made a friend? How's math going? I know you were struggling. So that helps with some of the conversations that our matches are having as well. So here's what we know. And Big Brothers Big Sisters has been the subject of a lot of research studies, and I won't bore you with a ton of statistics, but they're out there. So we know that our kids stay in school. They grow emotionally and socially. They have improved relationships, closer relationships with their family members, that they stay away from smoking and drinking alcohol and doing drugs. Here in Snohomish County, we can tell you specifically that our kids, when we're looking at that youth outcome survey, they improved. So in a year, they improved or maintained, at least from baseline. 97% of them felt socially accepted. 90% of them felt smart in school. 89% felt that they had a special adult in their life. And so we know exactly what's happening. I think it's interesting, in 2013, Mentor Washington finished a 5-year research study that was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Big Brothers Big Sisters of Snohomish County was part of this research study. And one of the things that they said was Big Brothers Big Sisters is critical in halting the growth of depressive symptoms. So kids came in on that study, and 1 out of 4 of them reported being depressed or having depressive symptoms. And by the end of that, that showed that our treatment or our program really benefited kids who were experiencing depressive symptoms, as well as gains in social acceptance, academic attitudes, and some of those other things. Another thing I think is really interesting is that several years, or probably 10 years, this is a little outdated, but there was a study done on grown littles. So they surveyed hundreds of adults who had been littles when they were kids. And it was really fantastic to see that these adults really said that having a big helped me get through high school. I was the first one in my family to go to college. 62% of them, I'm just looking at this, considered themselves to be more successful than their peers who didn't have a mentor who weren't in the program. They reported having a household income, the majority of them, of $75,000 or more, and really giving back to the community. And we know that that's true because we hold a car show every year. We don't hold it. It's held by a former little of ours, and he raises over $200,000 so far for Big Brothers Big Sisters because of the impact that it had on his life. So we know that that is true, and we know that it's having impact on folks. So, and I just remember I video interviewed a match in Seattle several years ago, and this match had been together for 12 years. So they were graduating out, and it was this just lovely young man, and he was super talkative, and just had great plans for school and what he was doing. And his bib looked at me and he said, literally for the first 3 years of our relationship, I'd ask him a question and he'd go, he'd moan, he'd shrug, he literally didn't talk for 3 years. And this guy just kept coming back and back and back and just showed up. And that's all we ask. Show up for these kids. If you tell them you're going to do something, be there, because for a lot of these kids, they have people in their life who just bolt without a word. So it's that consistency that's really critical.
Hey, so we're coming up on the half-hour mark, and probably come down to a close, and certainly want to thank everybody for joining us. I would ask you maybe one last question, Pam, and tell me one or two sort of dreams you've got right now for what might happen post-COVID, and as we continue to support Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Everett, or I should say Snohomish County. Sorry.
Yeah. So my dreams would be that we really are reaching all of Snohomish County. You know, we have a handful of kids in East County. The majority of our kids are in the Everett area. We have some need in Stanwood. We have need in Sultan. We have a few kids, and there are so many more kids in Sultan. So my dream is that we have volunteers, that we are able to figure out this recruitment piece so that we have volunteers at our door constantly. And I think that being in the why and having a strong strategy about how we are embedded in all of because we have branches in all of these areas throughout the county, and that will be huge. And really, my dream is that, you know, kids who come out of this social isolation, who've been in, you know, who are already in rocky situations, that they come out and they have a big to rely on, and that they come out stronger and more resilient, and that the potential that is already in them, they have somebody to help them bring it out of them.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to have a little chat weekly. We're going to connect once a week and have little updates about what's going on in Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think I would say, maybe in closing for my part, so the heavy lifting has already been done, in the sense that we already have a chapter of Big Brothers Big Sisters. They're a part of our family. They've got office space. They're in one of our rooms. We have boatloads of kids that are in need of connection. And we have able-bodied mentors in our community that, if tapped on the shoulder, would be great bigs, and would be. So we've already created it. There's no need to create a new program. People often ask, you know, how do we engage disparities that are happening in our community? Well, I have a solution. Big Brothers Big Sisters is a way to engage disparities, to find kids that might not have the best leg up in life, that can be engaged with other caring adult role models. It's not a 40-hour week job. It's a very part-time commitment, but it is a commitment. And I think everybody on the call, I think the challenge would be, how do we continue to wrap our arms around Pam and her staff and our volunteers, such that in a year from now, we're having this conversation, and we're not talking about close to 100, we're talking about close to 300. We're talking about all these amazing matches and this amazing work that's happening. So there's a lot of reasons to watch the news and feel not so good about the world. But Pam has just articulated to us part of our organization that it gives us many, many great reasons to feel great about what's going on in our community. And so Pam, I want to applaud you and your staff for the good work that you're doing, and thank all the volunteers that are doing this work. And I would just say to everybody on the call, more work to be done. It's our responsibility to be the adults in the community that are going to cast a wide net, scoop up all those kids, and get them connected. So super excited, Pam, to hear more about our progress in the new Everett campus, and thankful for everybody jumping on the call today. So it's about 28 past the hour, and so thanks, Pam, and thanks for everybody for jumping on. We're going to jump on. Let me double check real quick, see if there's any questions. I don't see any questions in the chat box, so good job, Pam. And
Yeah.
so we will connect with you all in about a week. So thanks for your time, and stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
See ya.